when we're so focused, the educational system is so
Mhm.
focused. Oh,
I'm
nice.
I'm just bringing this up while we talk. This was the article that you were talking about. It shows the nine types of intelligence
Hmm.
and all the different ways that people learn and interact.
Yeah, and so I actually went through a program called the Women's School, and the founder was January Donovan, and this is something that she talked about in her training. And
Hmm.
then my mentor was Kelsey Rube. But anyways, so
Shout out to Kelsey Rube, by the way.
so absolutely, and on she didn't create this graphic, but she talks about in her training. January Donovan does is there's so many different intelligences, and that we are all given gifts and we all have talents that we can use. And when in the educational system we are so focused on math, reading, science, social studies, the academics, that we miss out. Like we had that, there's the image of the fish and all these different animals, and we're
Yeah.
judging them on the same standards. But really, when we get to know our kids and like enjoy like such a fun year with them, we get to see all their different the things they're interested in and their personalities, and figure out like what they're really good at. And some of the kids struggle academically, but we really can see like, oh wow, maybe they struggle in math. Maybe they haven't figured out yet, the growth mindset. But wow, like they really know how to identify plants as a naturalist.
Now
Or
that's great if they want to become a botanist. I mean, maybe there's that kid, but I mean, how many kids are going to become botanists out of a given classroom?
right. Or you have that one kid that like maybe they can't get A's every time, but they're so caring of other
Hmm.
people. And really like what is more important, that, the kid that gets all A's, or the kid that like takes time to like, when somebody else gets hurt or somebody's crying, that they're like, "Hey, are you okay?" And like coming to that person, because like we're humans, like we're not robots. And I mean, good grades are great, but we also need to like, for that person, because that's another one of the intelligences is understanding like people's feelings and being able to help them.
Here's that graphic, by the way. This is this is similar. This isn't the same thing that we saw, but this is kind of that same cartoon. Don't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
Mm-hmm.
It's which I think is kind of what you're talking about here. I'll pull back up the other article, but I had that I came across that and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and so I mean, even with different careers, yeah, I mean, you do the work and the pencil paper and the reading and the test, but I mean, sometimes that holds people back that like really have
Mhm.
those skills to be a doctor, a botanist, a psychologist,
Yeah.
or a mechanic. Not everything is going to require a college background. Like some people are more skilled in you know vocational skills, and like that works best for them.
And
So
do you think we accurately address that in school, like, or do you think that even as early as elementary we should start to carve that open those pathways, like, because it seems like it's only until you get to high school that you start to have electives. There's
mhm.
so much that's mandatory that you have now. Granted, I understand, having certain things, like try home ec, try wood shop, try these things, and to see if you like them. And there should be that kind of exploratory time. But I mean, right, like Erickson says, third grade is usually that 7, 8, 9 year old age is when kids are starting to really find their identity.
Mm.
And yet we're still making every child has to reach this level. And granted, I think standards are important, but you know, and you've been instrumental in teaching me how to really look at data. And it's the kid that goes from barely able to read to being able to read a second grade book when he's a fourth grader. To me, that's such growth compared to a kid that is already reading Harry Potter. Well, and I think, do you think the problem might partly be the what we like the what we focus on at the upper, like in education in general, that we're focusing more on achieving a score rather than helping the kids?
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I do believe that we're like the standardized test is not an accurate representation of students' growth.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were to think about, for example, I mean, there are kids that they don't even, because of their needs, they don't qualify to take SOLs. And that's usually like special needs students. And that's only a very special case of special needs. And they build a portfolio from the beginning of the year to the end, and it shows the child's growth. And to me, if that was something like we did for our students, not to say that I don't want more work on educators, but to kind of do a few samples of like from the beginning of the year and then towards the end of the year, like how has that child grown? Like you were saying, like if they were at a grade 2 reading level and they've moved up to like grade 4 reading level. Well, I mean, if this is a 5th grade student, they still don't pass their SOLs, like to them, it's like we're making them feel like they're failing.
Yeah.
In reality, like, oh my gosh, you just grew 2 years reading growth in 1 year. But then when it's like, oh, but you didn't pass your reading SOL. And I mean, it's so hard when students get their scores back and they don't pass, and it just makes them feel like a failure instead of like, hey, you made 2 years worth of growth. We're so proud of you. And like making that more of an announcement than the scores themselves.
How do you catch full episodes of the Educators podcast every Thursday at 4 p.m.? Real educators with the real issues in education. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, take care of yourself. Jeans passes for anyone who likes, shares, and comments on this video. Have a great week.